Hey there, and welcome to a review for the newly released grand strategy hybrid game Knights of Honor 2 Sovereign. Now, why a review and not a verified video? Well, it wouldn't really make sense, but more about that later. Also, quick disclaimer, I received the game for free from the publisher THQ Nordic, but there are no strings attached. So, however, my new channel sponsor, 2game.com, was so nice to provide 2 free copies for the game, so make sure to sign up for the giveaway since it will only be open for a few hours. Anyway, some of you might remember the first Knights of Honor, released in 2004. It was quite popular and definitely had a hand in inspiring Medieval 2 Total War, which was released 2 years later. Ironically, the publisher of Code 1, at least for North America, was Paradox Interactive, who went on to create the enormously successful Crusader Kings series. Knights of Honor 2 is, let's be honest here, an almost perfect remake of the first title. This is meant largely in a positive way, but also comes with some drawbacks. Now, the first thing that might interest a lot of people is how it differs from Crusader Kings 3 and the heavily modded Total War, be it Medieval 2 or Attila. The answer is a lot. The game is practically set right between those two extremes. While Crusader Kings 3 has some very intricate dynasty mechanics, deep diplomacy, and vast interaction options between characters, Knights of Honor 2 does take some of these, but reduces them in complexity, or as some might say, dumps them down, while still staying above the very basic diplomacy system of a Total War. You can haggle for trade agreements, exchange captured knights, sign non-aggression and defensive pacts, form alliances, via marriage, obviously, and even prepare invasions with close allies. Now, diplomacy might sometimes fail or work just as intended, and thus there's war. Now, since Knights of Honor 2 runs in real time, and your armies move at a constant pace directly on the map, without being bound to provinces, as in Crusader Kings 3, this makes intercepting enemy armies quite difficult at times. Obviously, though, you need to take ground to really make progress in the war, and so a lot of battles occur around settlements that are being plundered or province capitals which are under siege. In any case, your knights that are acting as generals and leading your army play a big role with their skills, similar to Crusader Kings 3. However, while you have the option to let the battle be decided automatically, you can actually fight the battle on a tactical map as in Total War. I have to say I'm not a huge fan of how this is done in the game. The camera is far too close to the action for my liking, the graphics are quite outdated, and you don't actually get to see hundreds of troops clashing on the battlefield. Instead, each character represents a number of troops. Nonetheless, it is nice to have this option, and sometimes you are able to turn around battles that you otherwise would likely lose. The AI is not super smart during these battles, but also not completely useless. And since the grand overview map terrain has an influence on how the battle map looks like, and from where the reinforcements come in, you can pull some cool maneuvers. Sieges have some nice city graphics that again show local details and are especially challenging. Though, I need to add, not only are battles currently sadly limited to 2 armies per side, but also I was encountering a lot of graphical glitches while moving the camera around, which was annoying. Now let me take this moment to thank all my long-standing supporters here and over on Patreon and Twitch. Without their constant reassurance and calls for me to continue, I would probably have stopped making videos altogether. Instead, I now even have been given the option to turn on channel memberships and the thanks button, which I have done now. Anyway, let's come back to the actual game. To field an army and grow your nation, you need to govern your nation well and build the economy, and this is probably where Knights of Honor 2 outstrips both Crusader Kings and the Total War series. The resource system is far more complex, as are the building chains. Together with how the local makeup of a province influences your options for what you can actually do with it, this requires quite some thinking to find an optimal way to set up your realm's economy, for the long run especially. And many high-level buildings require certain resources that need other upgraded buildings for production. For example, high-level ports need 3 different resources you can only get from provinces with wood and flags. That's to get the maximum out of a province with many coastal settlements, which is enormously profitable with trade. You need to acquire these resources, be it by trade or conquering. Long-term planning is king here, and while I'm not exactly a fan of it, this kind of sim not being my thing, the somewhat randomized resources and province settlement makeup provide a lot of replayability, since it's get placed a bit different every time. Now, an important aspect of this all are knights, as the name says. You can recruit a maximum of 8 knights, which can come in the categories trader, marshal, diplomat, priest, and spy. Your king and his sons also have one of these professions, which has quite some impact on how your kingdom develops and how it plays once this particular person is in power. In any case, these knights are for some reason immortal, which, besides their limited number, is one of my key grievances with the game. Kings and their families age, knights don't. This, of course, allows you to keep your highly upgraded knights and lets them manage their various jobs like running trade routes, leading armies, that is particularly important with high-level marshals, managing provinces, or improving international relations very effectively in the long run. These knights are, obvious by the name of the game, extremely important and can become true powerhouses over time. But time is the keyword here. There is no real representation of time. Dates only show up at the start of a campaign. When you choose a start date, this only changes how the various nations look on the map. It has no impact on even the tech level. So Byzantine Empire in late game date has the same tech level as on the early start date. And from then on, you don't really have a way to keep track of in-game time anyway, besides your king and his family getting older. It also doesn't play any role really for any events, at least I didn't notice anything like the plague, or volcano eruptions, or big city fires like the London fire. Not even randomly this happens. A huge mischance in my opinion. Religion should play a big role in this age, but to be honest, besides the religious leader getting influenced by you here and there to get a crusade or jihad launched, or excommunicating a neighbor that you definitely want to invade but has the same religion, it's not really meaningful. It almost always sits at max capacity, which is not that great anyway, being mana. I consider this game and its modding community that is already going ham over Nexus, though, a great chance. Once the Steam Workshop support is integrated and the game further expanded, it has absolutely massive potential. At the moment, though, I'm not too thrilled by it, but if you can get it for a solid price, it can already be pretty addictive. That being said, if you were here time again, remember the giveaway, and otherwise use this code, or the link in the description, to get 5% off on any game over on 2game.com, my sponsor. I hope you enjoyed the video. If this was the case, please leave a like and a comment. If you haven't already, probably subscribe. And consider supporting me over on Patreon or via channel membership. Oh, and by the way, I also stream occasionally over on Twitch, so maybe check that out too. In any case, enjoy the holidays and have a nice midwinter solstice.